Our next guest is Cory Lemings. Cory is one of the regional business specialists with the Department of Rehab, overseeing engagement for the governor's CalHHS Playbook, an initiative created to increase the employment parity rate of individual. We just talked about that parity rate with AG Bonta, and Cory's going to talk about that more. DOR's role in the playbook is to promote representation of individuals with disabilities within government employment and to help other state agencies find talent by ensuring that either state agencies have like 100,000 individuals with disabilities, which DOR serves, are prepared to successfully enter the state employment. In other words, DOR is really geared to help person with disabilities look for a job, find a job, and help retain that job that they found so hard to get. And Cory, welcome to SDAC. The floor is yours, and take it away.
Thank you, Bobby. So I am very pleased to be here. My name is Cory Lemings, and I am, as Bobby said, the Regional Business Specialist for the Redwood Empire District of DOR. For those who aren't aware, the Department of Rehabilitation is a state agency that assists all Californians with disabilities in obtaining and maintaining employment, including employment with the state. Today, I'm here to talk a little bit about how state agencies can engage the disability community to increase the employment parity rate that AG Bonta spoke about among our state agencies and ensure that people with disabilities are represented well among the agencies and departments that serve them. So I know to get you on my side, I should start with a few things that you already know so that at the end you'll think, hey, this guy's pretty smart and I should listen to what he has to say. Then when I hit you with the ask at the end, you'll be more likely to do it. So I'm going to start with a few things that I think almost everyone on this call knows. Diversity and inclusion are good. It's essential for government programs to represent the populations we serve. According to the CDC, approximately 7 million Californians have some type of disability. And parity is a term for an equal representative number of people from the population included among workers for every state agency. AG Bonta spoke about the parity rate, and I'm going to give a little bit of information about what that parity rate looks like. The target is 16.6% representation of people with disabilities among all levels of state employment. And we have about 14 state agencies that are current state departments that are currently reaching that 16.6%. I don't want to talk too much about the agencies that aren't quite there yet. I want to focus on the ones that are there. Number one is the Department of Rehabilitation, my agency. And I should hope that an agency dedicated to equal employment for individuals with disabilities would be well represented in this. And all other state agencies are getting closer to it as we progress. We need to continue to focus on making sure that we do inclusive hiring practices and outreach to individuals with disabilities as we seek to assist the other 95 state departments to achieve their parity rates. I'm going to talk a little bit about the playbook. So what we call the CalHHS Playbook is an example of an effort being made to increase the representation of individuals with disabilities among state employment. The playbook itself is focused on CalHHS agencies. However, it's not only these agencies that are expected to increase hiring with the passage of AB 313. All state departments are expected to increase representation of individuals with disabilities among their staff, LEAP being one of the examples of the way this is being done. The CalHHS Playbook is an initiative led by Governor Newsom and DOR to increase employment of individuals with disabilities among state agencies under the CalHHS, California Health and Human Services umbrella. The playbook was developed with 3 principles in mind: to ensure that we as an organization lead by example in creating a culture where we believe and ensure that individuals with disabilities can work, live, and play where they choose with appropriate supports. To be a model employer of choice, CalHHS must lead in the hiring of individuals with all disabilities, including both visible and invisible, while continuing to partner with private sector employers to increase the hiring of employees with disabilities. And 3, to create upward mobility for people with disabilities by ensuring that they have equal and perhaps greater opportunities for employment to allow them to be a part of their communities in a meaningful way. We all know that one of the side effects of many disabilities is isolation, and employment is one of the key areas in which we can engage those people who are being left behind in their community to help them to feel like they are a part of the community they live in, and to ensure that they have financial security that will allow them to continue to be safe and comfortable as they develop and learn how to accommodate or self-accommodate their disability. There are 6 pillars of the playbook which guide the development of department strategies. You can look at these as possible ways to incorporate ideas from the playbook among your own departments. Pillar 1, recognition that disability is included in our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts that have become imperative in today's workplace. Recognition that employees with disabilities are an untapped talent pool who are reliable, strengthen workforce diversity, and bring extensive creativity and problem-solving experience to the workplace. Pillar 2, commitment to the provision of reasonable accommodations, including leave. Pillar 3, commitment that champions hiring, promotion, and inclusion of individuals with disabilities at all levels of the organization, and that models openness from leadership about their disabilities. So sharing information about the disability representation among leadership. Pillar 4, shift culture from recognizing the value of equality to the importance of equity, including challenging existing practices and processes which are often treated as absolutes with no discretion and readily default to a perceived limit of existing systems. Pillar 5, create an environment that supports and welcomes individuals with from all disability communities, including providing training on awareness and sensitivity to all disability groups, both visible and non-visible. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how DOR can support you in achieving that somewhat nebulous goal. Pillar 6, fully adopt the requirements of AB 313 signed by Governor Newsom in October of 2021, including requiring state entities to adopt reasonable accommodation policies, affirmative action employment goals, plans, goals for hiring individuals with disabilities, and report to the legislature each state entity's performance in this regard. The state of California is the largest employer in California. With over 200,000 people directly employed by the state, we have the power to shape how people with disabilities are viewed. We can showcase that a person having a disability is not a barrier to them being a great employee. Moreover, we can demonstrate that our departments represent the people we serve. There are some suggestions that we can start doing to build partnerships within our community and within our departments. Advocacy. Bring the concept of parity into the discussion around hiring at your own agency. Communication. Talk to each other. Individually, our DACs are isolated, but by sharing best practices, we can change the way disability inclusion is perceived on a statewide level. Teamwork. Coordinate with specialists from the Department of Rehabilitation to ensure that your departments have resources and knowledge to develop a plan. DOR is available to do one-on-one consultations or group consultations with any of your staff, anytime, for any question. There are no stupid questions. If you bring something to us, we will do our best to get you a specific answer on how to resolve an issue, whether it's accommodation related or whether it's policy related. The playbook suggests some questions for leadership. These questions are meant to serve as a jumping off point for consideration of disability inclusion hiring. Do you know what the LEAP program is? Is your department an active participant in this program? As a leader, when was the last time you publicly recognized how important diversity and equity is in your workplace? Have you engaged with the people with disabilities in your department? What has their experience been? What roadblocks have they faced in the hiring and promotion process? Do you understand the process by which an employee obtains reasonable accommodation? Who in your department or office handles this? Have you connected with them recently to understand the barriers they may face? And what active steps do you take as a leader to ensure inclusion and equity is a priority? As I said, these are suggested starting points for that discussion, ways for us to consider what we're doing and what our departments are doing to ensure this equitable hiring practice is successful. So I mentioned before that I was going to have some asks for you. What pathways can our departments create to expand employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities? 3 options that I like are the state internship program, adult work experience, and follow up with the Department of Rehabilitation to create a pathway for improving parity rates among people with disabilities. A little bit about the state internship program. DOR has successfully run a state internship program position at my office, personally. We brought someone on through the SIP program, which allowed the individual to develop skills and confirm that a state position was a good fit for them without the need to wait for an opening to exist. Her supervisor during the SIP program said, without SIP, we would have never known Madison's potential fully. Because of the SIP, she was able to draw upon examples of her learning style, problem solving, and all the tasks she mastered with little supervision after training. Eventually, Madison went on to interview and accept an OTG position at our DOR office. As a direct result of the SIP opportunity, she was ready day one to step into that role and provide quality support to her team, which would not have been possible with any traditional hiring. Adult work experience, called AWEX by us, is a DOR program which enables organizations, including government offices, for-profit, and nonprofits to act as the work site for an individual with a disability for up to 300 hours. The work site is responsible for providing a safe location and training, and DOR's partner agency, the Foundation for California Community Colleges, will be the official employer record and will hold all responsibility for wages, unemployment, and any other benefits required for that individual. This has been used successfully by departments to allow someone with a disability to gain work experience in a state department and does not replace a staff member or require that they go through the state hiring process. Follow up with DOR. There are some options that I can offer you for DOR support. DOR presentations. Have a DOR staff member give a presentation either to your DAC, your leadership, or your field staff about how to improve work for people with disabilities, including accommodations, parity rates, and a disability awareness training we call windmills. All of these are free and available to anyone who asks. Present to us, DOR. Come to DOR and tell our staff about your agency. We can develop a plan for how DOR can screen and assist our individual consumers, clients, in applying for your openings. So we will do the sorting to ensure that those who are truly interested and qualified are the first to complete the application when it becomes available. Do an informational interview video. This is kind of a new concept that we're testing out right now. We've had a state agency come in and do an informational interview video with us where they explain a little bit about what their agency does, what kind of positions are opening, what people would be particularly interested in learning about them if they were coming to work for them. And our goal is to help our consumers to see this video before they apply for a job with your agency. So they will know a little bit more about it as they come in, and only the interested and qualified will actually apply, saving you time and ensuring that the most qualified and passionate people come your way. DOR serves 100,000 individuals with disabilities throughout California, and we can sort them by interest and ability if we know what you're looking for. We can help them to be aware that you exist and that you're hiring currently, or that you have a position coming up in the future, so they have their Cal Careers account ready to go when that position comes up. Before we open it up for questions, I want to say again, the people on this call today have the power to move the needle on parity rates among state agencies. I hope that each of the people on this call will reach out to me to discuss how DOR can support you and your department in this effort. For those who do, I promise we will find a way that we can help. We represent not only the individuals with disabilities already employed among state departments, but also the millions of others in California who can benefit from long-term stable employment. We can ensure that state agencies and departments which serve these Californians truly represent their diversity. Thank you.
Great job, Cory. And you are actually a master in presenting PowerPoint. Initially, you had some doubts, so good work. I'm so glad to hear you speak about the parity and how departments can partner with DOR to increase and talk about increasing their parity rate. As you have heard earlier, AG Bonta mentioned LEAP, and then he mentioned that CalHR is ultimately responsible for implementation of LEAP. To what extent do you think you can work with CalHR and the other department to make a difference in the representation, number of folks working with disabilities in state service? Obviously, we all know that the parity rate should be 16.6. And I know you didn't want to talk about, the number of departments not meeting the parity, but you only want to discuss who met the parity, and rightfully so, you're number one in meeting that rate. So what can you do to offer suggestions that CalHR and all the other departments can do to work collaboratively in achieving that common goal of increasing parity in state service?
Great question. So the Department of Rehabilitation is the agency that can certify people as being LEAP eligible. We can do that certification. So anyone who needs it, whether they're a DOR consumer or not, we are responsible for ensuring that they can get certified. Send them to our offices, whatever local office is for them, and they can get that certification. If they're already a DOR consumer, they're automatically eligible for LEAP under the definition of LEAP. They just need to be certified, and all of their counselors are qualified to do that. And I can do it for them too. So we can ensure that people are eligible. What we need from you is to make sure that positions are listed as LEAP eligible positions. There is a way to make positions specifically LEAP. There are other positions that are automatically LEAP eligible generally, but aren't necessarily listed as that. So coding it as LEAP will ensure that more people who are LEAP eligible see that, and that we are aware of it. If you tell us, if someone drops me an email and says, I have 16 positions that I expect to come up in the next 6 months, Cory, do you have anyone who would be qualified to be a attorney for the Attorney General's office? I can look through our list of 100,000 qualified consumers and find those who are qualified. And then I can reach out to them or their counselors and let them know that this position is available. We want these people to see these positions, but you all know how short a time frame sometimes there is on state openings. Some positions are up for less than a week. And that requires that a person look at that website every week, see it, and have the time to complete the application successfully. It's possible, but it's not always possible. And we can help them by telling our agency that this opportunity is expected to come up in the next 6 months. We see 40 OT positions coming up. We see X number of SSA positions or AGPA positions coming up. Let us know, and we can help people apply. People with disabilities are not required to exclusively apply through LEAP positions. People with disabilities come in all shapes and sizes, all levels of skill and experience. I personally, right now on my caseload, have 2 hydrologist PhDs.
Mhm.
That's incredible. People with disabilities represent all levels of experience. We have consumers who are 16 and up, in high school, have never worked, to graduated and have experience as executive levels, people who have sustained disabilities and people who have disabilities that are lifelong. We can help those people to get into positions that have helped them gainfully employed with a long-term job with the state.
Thank you, Cory, for explaining that. One follow-up question for you. You mentioned hydrologists. You also mentioned attorneys. Are hydrologists and attorneys, they are LEAP certified classification, meaning there's so many tests that qualify for LEAP, and there are more classifications than what the test available. So if I understand it correctly, you have to have a classification that is listed under CalHHS testing, and Eli is going to speak about that later on as he comes on. But so you have to have that classification, and then if you have that classification, next step is to get LEAP certified through you or your agency so they can be on that list and pursue that approach, correct?
So LEAP stands for Limited Examination and Assessment Program. And what it offers is for people who meet that qualification are able to take the LEAP specific exam. And attorney is actually one of the LEAP eligible positions. I don't actually know if hydrologist is, but there are a number of positions at all levels that are LEAP eligible. And it's a great way for people to bypass some of the more frustrating things that come with state employment. If you've ever taken an OT exam, you used to have to travel to Sacramento to take it once every 6 months if you wanted to apply, or it would be open once every 6 months. I think it lasts 2 years. But that's a huge barrier to people with disabilities and people who are financially struggling. So this now LEAP opportunity will allow those people to take exams that would normally require them to come to Sacramento from the comfort of their own home.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the information. Do we have any questions for Cory? And again, the process is you can raise your hand, unmute. Looks like we have David. David, go ahead, unmute and ask the question.
Hi, Cory. I'm David Van Dyken. I'm with the DAC at the Public Utilities Commission. This has been an excellent presentation. Thank you much. I might contact you to come and talk with some of our folks at the CPUC. But regarding the LEAP, what is the process to get additional positions on the LEAP list?
So that's, let me clarify. Is your question what is required to open positions that are already LEAP eligible, or if you have a new classification that you think should be LEAP eligible, what is the
new? I would say new. At CPUC, we have many classifications that are unique to the CPUC that are not on the LEAP, that are not listed on the list of LEAP eligible classifications that I've seen. What is the process to get additional classifications LEAP eligible?
So that is actually a much more extensive process, and I'm going to have to ask the CalHHS representative to talk a little bit about that.
I see.
Because
okay.
Making a whole classification eligible is, I believe, an act of Congress, but I'm going to have to ask somebody on that. But to make positions that you have, like OT, SC, SSA, AGPA, are already eligible. And if you open them up as LEAP eligible, like you say, this position is specifically for LEAP, it allows you to bypass some of the hiring requirements. And that is much simpler and can be done with your HR department.
I see. So the current list, so for example, many people at the CPUC are hired on in a classification called PURA, or Public Utilities Regulatory Analyst, which is not on the LEAP list. So you're saying that it kind of requires kind of an act of the legislature to kind of include additional.
So if I may interject for a second, first of all, the good news is it's not an act of Congress to have certain classification listed in LEAP. It's creating the test and so on. But Eli Medrano, CalHR representative from Office of Civil Rights, is here with us. Eli, would you mind stepping in and answering David's question if you are able?
Hello, good morning. Eli Medrano from CalHR's Office of Civil Rights. Let me actually postpone the response to that, and so that Cory could have the rest of his presentation. And I do have it actually as part of my talking points, so I will respond to the questions in regard to LEAP exams establishment. All right.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the courtesy of stepping in and explaining. So Lee promises to demystify LEAP shortly after Cory's done. So we also have a second person, and Lisa Kilgore. Lisa, go ahead, unmute and ask the question.
Hi, I'm Lisa Kilgore, and I'm with the State Public Defender's Office, and a big part of our staff are attorneys. And I just wanted to clarify something with you. So are you saying DOR has an actual list for attorneys that my agency could utilize when we have open positions for our deputies and stuff like that? Because this is the first I've heard of a LEAP attorney position, and I just want to share that, you know, with my HR department, you know, and because I personally would like to see something like that in our agency, being more conclusive with attorneys who have disabilities. So I just kind of want a little bit more clarification on that, please.
If you drop me an email, if anyone drops me an email about any question, I will get you a qualified answer. So regarding the attorney position, as I said, we serve 100,000 individuals with all types of experience and disabilities. And yes, I can pull up a list of everyone who has their JD and is interested in a position in whatever specific law category you're looking for. And I can then reach out and get them to apply. If you're looking for a list of what positions are LEAP eligible, I can give you that as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Cory?
Yes, this is Susan Turnquist, and I'm the SDAC secretary. Cory, I loved your presentation. I basically, since I joined DAC, I've been looking for this information that you offered, and you talked about programs that are more than just LEAP, that there are multiple things. What I'm hearing from your presentation as a DAC member, it sounds like what we can do is promote that our agency should have a relationship with DOR. And I'm so happy that you presented your email at the end. But I did want to ask the question, who specifically should we be promoting? Should we say, you know, from the DAC perspective, our recommendation to our directorate is for our HR department to have to speak to DOR? Who are the people that we should be trying to get connected to DOR to get this information to be in use? Because we can't actually do it. All we can do is promote it. But I want to make sure we're promoting it the right way, you know, so yeah.
Your directorate, your HR, and your DAC are all welcome to reach out to DOR for different services. The windmills training that I spoke about is something that I think a lot of agencies would benefit from, and I think that your DAC would find it particularly interesting. the HR department can reach out to us and we'll help them to coordinate an effort to get qualified people with disabilities to apply for your positions that come up, and to help your HR staff understand about reasonable accommodation requirements and how they can be successful in that. And then any positions that are listed or expected to come up, if you give me a heads up, I'll make sure it gets out to the state, or I'll connect you with the best person locally for those kinds of positions.
So
But
two follow-ups. The first one is, I heard you saying earlier about an A, I can't remember the number, the AB that was on your presentation. What was the number of that again?
313.
For AB 313, did I kind of get the impression there's some statutes that our agencies need to be following? And did I interpret that correctly? You're saying that DOR could help our agency in making sure we're fulfilling, and that could be one of the things we're promoting to our directorate. You guys have to follow AB, this AB, you guys should connect with DOR and they can help you make sure we're following the guidelines the way we should. Did I understand that correctly?
Absolutely. And we can help you if it's something as big as reviewing a policy and helping you to determine goals. We can do that. If it's something as niche and specific as, we have a lot of people with this particular disability and we don't understand how to accommodate them, and we've already tried, you know, helping them to self-accommodate or determine the right accommodation for themselves. Could you provide an expert to help us find the right accommodation?
I love that information, because I think that's where we are. If we're in either the DAC talking to the EO officer that then's talking to the directorate, every step of that chain, I think one of the things that's been missing is our ability to know what can we promote to say. And I love the idea that DOR could make your relationship with DOR better, so that you're actually getting the information about who you can hire or programs that you can use in addition. I love your presentation. I hope you saw that lots of people are asking for a copy of your presentation in the meeting chat. And I did not see any other questions that were not LEAP in the chat. So Bobby, I'll throw it back. That was the information that I was looking for.
Great question, Susan. That's a very important question. Connecting the DAC and all the department with the right resources goes a long way in achieving our collective goal of increasing person with disabilities parity rate in state service. So good question. I don't have any additional questions, but we already have Cory's contact information. And Cory, is it okay to share your presentation later on when we create our summary report that we sent out?
You're welcome to share my presentation. It includes a copy of the CalHHS Playbook on the last page, and some links, including a link to AB 313. If it won't jam up the Zoom, I can also attach it here, I believe.
Try to attach it. You're the expert. Looks like you're already proven doing such a great job with your PowerPoint. So go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you.
I just want to reiterate, thank you all for your time. And truly, you cannot bother me by contacting me to ask a question. I would rather get 100 emails than have someone not get a job because someone at an agency didn't know the right thing to ask.
That's such a great statement, Cory, that you don't mind being bothered if it results in somebody getting a job. So that's a good thing to know. Thank you so much. This was extremely valuable presentation, and we look forward to more collaborative work relationship with Cory and DOR. Thank you.